I'll hand this movie this. It really made me want to go back and watch Clue again. Hey everyone, it's me, Aaron.
And I'm Michelle.
And I look way shorter than normal, don't I? I think my cushion's lumpy. Or maybe I'm shrinking. Oh no.
Now maybe just sitting there so much that I've started to like,
yeah. We've done so many of these videos now that like it's just, I've got a permanent like butt curve in the cushion here. Hey, for anybody who has never seen one of these videos before, this is the post Geekout reaction, and it is not a review. In the review, I sit down, think of everything that I want to say, write it all out, and there are no spoilers. The post Geekout reaction is just an open, honest discussion between the two of us about the thing that we just watched, and that does include full spoilers. And I do need to stress that because we are talking about Murder on the Orient Express today, which is a murder mystery. So there's a mystery in there, and we're talking spoilers. 2 + 2 = 4, baby. You gotta figure this one out on your own. Yeah, we're gonna tell you what happens. But just let you guys know, if you do want to hear me talking about Murder on the Orient Express, all 5 of you, I am not going to do a review for this. Normally when I do a post Geekout reaction, I then also do like the professional review that I try and make it look really nice and crisp and get all the clips from the movie. I'm not doing that on this one for 2 reasons. First reason is I'm covering a couple of shifts this weekend at work, so I just am not going to have time. But the other reason why is I would feel really bad giving a score to this film because I fell asleep for about 15 minutes of this movie. I'd say, rough estimate, about 15 minutes of this. And they revealed some major information within that 15 minutes, and I had to play some massive catch-up later in the film, like, okay, well, they're talking about this thing now, I guess this is a thing they mentioned, okay, alright,
like you had to like put the pieces together.
I had to investigate this myself.
You had to solve the mystery yourself about what happened to this mystery.
I grew a giant antler mustache like our hero in this film. It's like, yes, alright. So I would feel really bad actually giving it a score. But at the same time, I watched this thing. I'm not going to not make a video on it, and I'm not going to pay for a ticket again to watch that 15 minutes I missed. So we're just going to do a post Geekout reaction this weekend on this.
Yeah, I don't think too many people are going to be demanding a review for this.
That's the thing. I do a review on at least one movie that comes out every single week. And this week, it was either this or Daddy's Home 2. And I have a very firm stance on fuck all Christmas movies that come out in November. I'm sorry if you're one of those people who's like, the moment that October is over with and November 1st rolls around, you are ready for Christmas. I am like, we just tap it down, just wait. I don't even like Thanksgiving, but I'm still like, let's at least give Thanksgiving its month.
So if you live in a country that doesn't celebrate Thanksgiving, would you automatically be into Christmas as soon as Halloween?
No, I'd still be like, no. I just told you I don't like Thanksgiving to begin with.
But you're like, it's like Thanksgiving is the whole reason why we're not celebrating Christmas right now.
Well, it's more just kind of like, we're just going to like abandoned turkey day. All right, fine, whatever.
People eat Christmas. People eat turkey on Christmas,
whatever. But no, I am a firm believer in like no decorations until then, which it's tough for you because
it is because I love decorating for Christmas.
You love the hell out of Christmas, and you show such restraint every single year. It's like, all right, wait until December 1st, and every year on December 1st when I come back from work, this place is just like flashing.
It explodes with Christmas.
It looks like that scene in season 1 of Stranger Things. You just walk in and there's just letters and lights just hanging up everywhere. It's like,
but without the letters. Although if you want me to do that this year.
You put up some Merry Christmas letters before. So yeah, I'm not seeing Daddy's Home 2. Also, I don't give a shit about Will Ferrell comedies anymore.
I know, but I feel like a lot of people want to see you get angry, so...
That's the thing. I know my audience. I know that my audience wants to see me get enraged by watching bad movies. So don't you worry. Because there were 2 god-awful films that came out in October that I didn't see because I was only doing horror films in October. And I'm going to be playing catch-up on them over the next couple of weeks. So you can look forward to that. But Daddy's Home is like... Dude, it's Will Ferrell, but what do you think it's going to be, alright? At this point, we all know what to expect from these films. I hate saying it, but Will Ferrell has entered Adam Sandler territory. Yeah. Where it's like, you had that one thing you did, and it was really funny for a while, but for the love of God, do another thing at this point. So yeah, I'm not seeing that. Not to mention, I actually told you I never saw Daddy's Home 1, and it wasn't until I was setting all this up that I remembered, oh my god, I did see the first Daddy's Home.
It was just that forgettable.
That's how much I did not give a crap about that. So yeah, we're doing Murder on the Orient Express because I always kind of dug the idea behind this, but I never read the original novel and I never saw any of the film adaptations of it. So this is really like my first time getting into it. Like I always knew what it was about. I was always like, oh, you know, a murder mystery on a train? That's actually kind of cool. That's actually, you know, there's a lot you can do with that. So this is really like my first time getting into it. And I feel like I should point that out because right now the critics are very split right down the middle on this. And I was reading the negative reviews on this. The negative reviews are coming from the most snobbish critics. No, seriously, it's like the Wall Street Journal guy,
wow.
Like the most snobbish, like, oh, all the pedantic people out there who have never experienced.
That's so weird. Like, usually expect it to be like the other way around.
Oh, not for this, because it's like they're all saying they destroyed the original source material.
I see what you mean.
The original is so much better. Why do you need a remake of this? And I was like, well, because I never saw it. All right. Listen, sometimes remakes happen. Get over it. So yeah, this was really my first time seeing it, but as I said, I fell asleep for like 15 minutes of this, and I stayed up late. I stayed up till about 6 a.m. last night editing videos, and then had to wake up like 5 hours later to go into work, and then immediately went and saw this film. So it was one of those things where it was like, oh god, man, if I had been more prepared, if I had been awake, this wouldn't be happening. And then I swear to you, this is true. I am not making any of this up. About 10-15 minutes after I woke up, I heard from all the way on the other side of the theater, and it got louder and louder until the entire theater was like, you could hear everyone whispering like, what do we do? And he was on my aisle. I could turn and see him. And I was like, what the
Did you
fuck?
go and wake him up, or?
He was on the exact opposite end, but like, I saw the people saying next to him, which this was a jam-packed theater, so maybe people do want to hear me talk about this. Maybe this is gonna be more popular than I thought. But yeah, it was jam-packed, and you could see all the people around like, I don't know what to do. And finally, like, someone just, like, I don't know, a lot of people were shoving. I don't know what that was. And they woke him up. Then like another 10 minutes go by. And at that point, people were just like, just fucking let him. And then like 20 minutes after that, I hear.
Oh, so another person was sleeping?
From like 2 seats over from me.
Wow.
I was like, it can't just be my aisle. It can't just be that 3 people on this one aisle did it. Granted, I got a shitty aisle. I was on the next to front aisle, and I was like way over, so I was looking at like this the entire time.
That'll be your thumbnail for this
thumbnail. Man, I've been having to come up with crappy thumbnails last couple times because we have not had good reactions. That's a good one. But yeah, so I was like, is it just the angle? Is it just that everybody is in these seats just like already doing this, and that's why we're all falling asleep? But I don't know why, but yeah, 3 people on my aisle, including me, fell asleep during this thing. I can only imagine at least 2 or 3 other people in that theater did and just weren't snoring. So yeah, I don't know if me falling asleep was a comment on me or on this film, but let's go ahead and get into this thing. It opens up incredibly well. It opens up, it's in, I don't know if they say the actual, oh, they do say the actual country, whatever. But it opens up with this little boy running through a marketplace, and he's got a basket full of eggs, and he takes them into this place, and they polish up the eggs, get them all washed, and then they take them in and reveal it to this guy. You see the back of his head, and it's revealed that he is our protagonist, whose name I am awful with. His name is Hercule Poirot. His name's Hercule.
Not Hercules.
Yeah, they actually make that joke in here. But Hercule Poirot, god damn it, I don't know how to say that. Sorry. It's Kenneth Branagh. So it's revealed to Kenneth Branagh, and he just goes, no, take it back. And then they take it back. The boy runs around again, gets more eggs, runs back. Then they reveal to it, he's got the eggs. And then Kenneth Branagh examines the eggs, and he takes like a little measuring thing and examines the height. And he's like, no, it's not they're not the same size. And the little boy's like, oh, and then goes, I blame the chickens. Why do chickens not lay different size eggs? go on, you can eat the eggs. I was like, okay, so he's got a thing, but he's not a jerk to this kid. I mean, made him run through all the marketplace twice to get these eggs, but you know, he wasn't being rude to the kid about it.
Like, he kind of like being a perfectionist, like being anal about the eggs, or...
No, it is revealed then after he does this thing, which it's like he skips breakfast because the eggs aren't right. He has to go to a trial where a rabbi, a priest, and a Sikh have all been accused of stealing this valuable item from this location, where once a year they go and discuss like who is allowed to use the marketplace at what times. And so he has to go to their trial, and it's right in front of the big Wailing Wall, and he goes up there. I think that's what it was. Man, I really was blanking out in the beginning of this thing. But yeah, he goes up to where this trial is, because he is this professional detective. As he's walking there, he steps in a big pile of shit, and the police officer who is escorting him is like, "Oh, I'm so sorry about that." He goes, "No, it's not that it happened. It's the imbalance that bothers me." And he takes his shoe out and then steps in it again with his other shoe. So he's got OCD.
Oh yeah,
that's what it is. Yeah, and he goes in there and like
that's kind of what I meant when he's like he's anal about stuff. So.
But no, it's like it's a condition with him.
Right. Which seems to be a very common thing with like detectives and stuff.
The whole time I was like, this dude is one part Benedict Cumberbatch's version of Sherlock and one part Inspector Clouseau from the Pink Panther films. Because he's got a very thick like French accent, and he is very much like kind of like charming in like a goofy way. But like you can tell it's not like Inspector Clouseau where he is just flat out goofy. This guy, like, you can tell like when he's being kind of playful, he's kind of like doing it himself. So it's like, oh man, he's actually pretty charming. Like, he is hands down the best thing about this, because not only like is his personality really freaking attractive, like his personality gets you going, oh my god, I want to talk to this guy. This guy should be the star of a film. I would follow an entire movie based around this guy. And also, you know, the whole him having an OCD thing, like that actually does add a lot to his character. Because there's a moment like right after all this when he solves this big crime in which someone says like, how on earth could you have figured all this out? And he goes, I have a unique advantage in which I see the world the way that it should be. So when it isn't that way, it stands out to me. I was like, that's actually really kind of intriguing. Okay, so it's because he's obsessed with like seeing exactly how things should be, that any small thing that shouldn't be stands out to him. Like, because the way that he solves this crime is that he saw like a little tiny scratch on a table, and he goes, that would fit a boot. Priests, rabbis, and Sikhs do not have the money to be able to afford shoes like that. A commanding officer in the police department would, and they point over to the police detective and they see like a tiny little like white dab like on like smudge on his boot. But while he is like going on this big like speech about like who could possibly be responsible for this, he takes his cane, jams it right into the wall behind him. No explanation for why he does that. But then when he points to the detective, and the detective's like, oh, and he just starts running out of there. And then like a guard who Hercule told to stand at that post, like as soon as this case began, he was standing there and he blocked him, and then he came running back. He's fighting his way through this crowd, and then he hits that cane that he put like right on the wall and like flips over and is like, this guy is really cool. I definitely want to follow an entire movie around this guy. This guy is awesome. Sorry about that. I had to look it up because as soon as I said Sikh, I realized that's not what it was, and it's really bad if I do not get that correct. It was Imam. It was an Imam. But okay, so it immediately sets up, okay, this guy, he's really charismatic, got great personality to him, has very distinct things about his character, and he's insanely smart. And from there he goes on to this restaurant that I don't know if he's back in the kitchen hanging out with everyone, and he's in like a waiter's suit. And I'm like, you're I know you're supposed to just be like visiting here and you're like friends with the cook and everyone working there, but it really feels like you like own this place. Like, there's weird small stuff like that all throughout this film. But this guy pops in there, and this guy is this big boisterous personality guy, and like Hercule is like the most upstanding citizen out there, but this guy comes in and he is just like some deplorable, just like womanizing, just piece of crap. and they're like best friends, and it's actually kind of works that it's like, wow, they are such opposite personalities, and they describe the reason why they're friends is because like this guy is the only guy who doesn't care about what Hercule does, and so Hercule doesn't give a crap about all the terrible stuff that he does. So in a weird way, they find a friendship in that, and that's like, we just treat each other like normal people. Because this guy is also like very famous, like a wealthy business guy, and Hercule's the only guy who doesn't treat him differently, and he's so obsessed with himself that he doesn't care that Hercule is like some big like star. So it's like, okay, all right, that's kind of charming. But this is when it starts to get a problem with this film, because this guy who comes in is acting like he's on stage at a theater rather than in a movie, because
so he's like overacting.
And he's like projecting to like the balconies out there, and like he's right in front of you, man. There's that thing on top of the camera is called a microphone. We got you, man. And like half the cast is kind of like that. From there, he has to then travel all the way back to London to solve a case. And so he then boards this train full of all these other unique individuals, and half of them are cartoons.
Yeah, like even from the trailer, like they just like go down the aisle and look at everyone. It's like, wow, these are like very cartoonish. Like you said, like characters out of Clue. Like
Oh, the moment that Willem Dafoe shows up in here, I went, he's Professor Plum. He is 1000% Professor Plum. Except if Professor Plum was racist. That's the thing. They're all white except for one black guy in there, and they keep pointing out in here, it's the 1930s, and not everybody is cool with a black guy being a doctor and riding on the same train as them. And Willem Dafoe is in there, and he's like just talking to this guy. He's like, excuse me, I want nothing to do with this. And then as he's walking away, someone's like, what's wrong with you? And he's like, listen, I'm not racist. I just think that white people should stay to white people and black people should stay to black people. I was like, well, I kind of hope you're the murder victim. Because you're awful. I hate whenever Willem Dafoe plays a bad guy, even though he's so good at it, because I like Willem Dafoe. But yeah, half this cast is super cartoony. And the thing is, it would work if they were all super cartoony. But only half of them are. The other half are just normal, average folks. Like
that's kind of like, again, that's kind of what threw me off in the trailers. Like, this is obviously meant to be like a serious film, a serious movie, but like when you have like such over-the-top characters, it's hard to take it seriously.
But that's my thing about it, is that it's like, okay, if you're gonna go for broke, go for broke. Is my feeling on it. If you're going to have them all be very subtle and very like quiet, like if you're going to do like LA Noir, where it's like, okay, let's see if anything changes in their expression as they talk. Okay, could that be my moment to doubt in this? Okay, that's one thing. But don't mix the two. Like, I would love if they were all big crazy personalities, because like I said, Clue. Make it Clue on a train, I'm fine with that. But half of them are just so crazy, and the other half are not at all. And there's so many characters in here. This is another problem with this film, is that, listen, I understand that like this has been interpreted correctly numerous times, and I'm now interested in seeing how they interpreted this novel. But in this one, man, everybody in here gets very brief little moments, and you're supposed to know so much about them. And again, this is one of the reasons why I'm like, okay, I cannot actually give this a score, because I did fall asleep for like that 15 minutes in there. But at the same time, I was like, man, they must have covered a lot of ground in that 15 minutes. Because after the murder happens, which the murder victim is this guy, Mr. Ratchet, who is played by Johnny Depp, which the moment that Johnny Depp popped up, I was like, yeah, he's definitely the one dying, because he's the one not in the trailers. So that was kind of a giveaway. But he's also a mob boss, and it's real obvious that he is, because Johnny Depp is one of the cartoon characters in here. No duh. But I mean, he's more of a cartoonish mobster than Muggsy and Bugsy from the old Looney Tunes cartoons. He is playing it on thick.
Well, subtlety is not Johnny Depp's
in all fairness,
strongest point. So
yeah, man, that's what you hired him for. But yeah, there's so many characters in here. I couldn't even name them all off for you. And I mean, there comes a moment, like, when he's going around trying to, like, solve this, in which, like, things are just getting revealed about people, and we know that Kenneth Branagh's character, the detective, is an amazing detective. That has been established firmly throughout all this. And they keep doing cool stuff in here all the way. Like, there's a moment in which he reveals that Willem Dafoe's character is not actually German because of one word that he put the wrong emphasis on the syllable. And I was like, okay. But at the same time, when it comes to a detective story, you kind of want the audience to kind of be step by step along with the detective. Mm-hmm. And this guy is so freaking smart, and he can pinpoint small stuff like that there's no way the audience could pinpoint. That when he does reveal stuff like that about a character, it doesn't have like that flourish of, oh my goodness, I see. It's more of like, wait, what? Like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there that he reveals about people. I'm just like, did this happen? When did this happen?
It's like, did this happen when I was falling asleep? Like,
he was like, when I woke back up and they started like revealing a lot of stuff about people, I was like, oh God, I missed so much. This sucks. I can't believe I missed all this. But then they kept revealing stuff and kept revealing stuff. And I was like, I don't think you could possibly have like established all this in the time that I was knocked out. I think you're just like not laid the groundwork as well as you should on this. I think that's what it is that they were relying on how smart the detective was to make up for like providing the hints that we needed for the audience to be able to go, oh, I see, something is up with this. So that's one of the problems with this film.
Yeah, it's like there's a difference between like, oh, he's so smart, he figured that out too. Well, that just came out of nowhere. Like,
yeah, exactly. Like, I compared it kind of to like Benedict Cumberbatch Sherlock, and Sherlock, you know, he saw stuff that the audience couldn't see at all in that show. However, when he would reveal something about someone, it would be because I noticed this, then this, then this, then this, then this. And there'd be flashbacks to all those things and go, fudge, those were all there. Here, like, there would be things that, like, he would figure out and I'd be like, I guess that was there, but there's no way the audience would know
like,
that.
So there were no flashbacks to, like, explain anything? Because, like, that's, like, a really...
Again, that is a problem I had with this. Because at the end of this film, when they are explaining why everyone did everything and how everything worked, there is a flashback in there showing everybody doing the thing that they did, but there weren't enough of them. Because here's the big thing about like why, okay, in case anybody still is like, oh, well, I'm gonna hang on until the spoilers come in, here's where the spoilers come in. It's revealed at the end of this that it was not one person who killed this guy. Turns out literally everyone on that train had a problem with this guy. Mm-hmm. And it was because apparently he killed a small child many years ago, and that was then connected to everyone on the train, and he some way, because of this, ruined everyone's life. So all of them for years now have been working as a team to set up this one moment when they could all come together and kill him. And there's a flashback to the night when they all come in there and kill him. And it's like, okay, well, now I see that happening. But the flashbacks to like show like his connection to everyone and how he was tied to everyone, they almost did none of that. A lot of that was him just explaining. I was like, no, dude, you have to like, you gotta show me these steps, because this is really crazy to say that this one guy was connected to everyone. Don't get me wrong, it's a brilliant twist. But man, this did not really
it's like show, don't tell, basically.
It's a visual medium. It's, you need to show, not tell.
Yeah, and it's like, I feel like that's another reason why maybe a movie adaptation of like, especially a murder mystery, is not all that great, because it...
Oh, well, I wouldn't say that.
Well, I mean, well, it depends. Like, you know, like when it comes to murder mysteries, like you have to like, they do a lot of explanation and everything.
Okay, I see.
A lot of conversation, not exactly, like, let's talk more action, and that's not really good for like a visual medium per se.
Well, I wouldn't agree with that, but I can understand that it's like you want something where you actually see the stuff going down rather than people talking about the stuff
like,
going down.
Yeah,
and
like,
there's a lot lot of people just talking about stuff going down.
Yeah, and I feel like when you like read along, you like get a better understanding than just like having like.
Well, also when you read along, someone saying, "Well, you did this and you did that and you did this," has the exact same impact as reading, "This person did this person did that, then this person did that."
Yeah, like there's a like, you know, books and movies are very different. Like with a movie, like basically they're projecting ideas onto you, whereas with a book, you have to like sort of be invested in it. So I think that's kind of why maybe you and a bunch of other people in your row fell asleep.
It is a lot of people just talking, I will say that. But at the same time, it's a murder mystery. I was fully set for that. But yeah, you also need flashbacks in there. Flashbacks really do help with this kind of thing. And there really aren't many in here. The thing that gets you like to stick around for this is the characters' personalities. However, a lot of those half the personalities in here are really kind of flat. The other half are pretty darn cool. But yeah, it's not really the kind of thing that, you know, could really keep me invested all throughout it, as I have made that very clear. But also, when you realize that, I did not know this while I was watching this. I did not know that was Kenneth Branagh up there on stage as the inspector. The whole time I kept looking at him going, who the heck is that guy? Because he's got the giant antler mustache. And I was like, I have no idea who that is. And as soon as I found out it's Kenneth Branagh, i.e. the guy who directed this film, I went, that explains a lot. Because this is a film where this guy does not want to not be on screen talking. This really is an ego piece for this guy. It was like, I'm going to show you what an amazing job I can do with this. And yes, he did an amazing job with this character. He is great as this character. But man, as soon as you realize he's the director, you also realize it's also why he never wanted to take the camera off him at any point. And that's another problem of this film. It sticks on him on scenes when, again, it could be doing a flashback, it could be great. But also, there's a lot of scenes. This guy, he's a genius. He's amazing, he's wonderful. But there's also many scenes of people just going up to him, congratulating him on being amazing and wonderful. And a lot of the writing in here is really good, but any of the times when people go up to him and like say things like, it's almost like you can see into people's souls. And I was like, womp womp. Talk about a wank fest, Jesus. But I mentioned like half the cast in here is really darn good. And yeah, that's because half the cast in here is stunning actors. Like everybody in here is a good actor, but half this cast is like, Jesus, how did you get all of them to be in an ensemble piece like this? Like Michelle Pfeiffer is like the lead, like the person who planned all this stuff in here. Holy crap. I'm glad that Hollywood is finally remembering that Michelle Pfeiffer exists, because she has always been an incredibly talented artist, and she is, at the end of this film, she's stunning. This film isn't going to get any nominations or anything, but I could totally see a supporting actress one going to her, because she, at the end of this, is like laying out, like, I'll tell you exactly why I did it. Like, holy crap, she is really good in this. Josh Gad, this is also one of the best things I've seen him in, because this is one of the times in which, like, yeah, he is a character in here, but for a guy who is known for being, like, giant and explosive and all over the place, man, he is so restrained. He is showing such range in here. He is great in this. Willem Dafoe, like I said, I don't like his character, but he's a really good actor in here. He's great in this. Penelope Cruz is good. Oh god, there's someone who plays a princess in here. Who is it? I can't remember. Judi Dench. Yes, of course. Judi Dench, always amazing. She's really great in here as well. But yeah, so the cast is really good. The main character is fantastic. But the murder mystery itself, it's not set up well enough. Like, it's one of those things in which, like, you get bits of information in here, but they're not able to take the audience on that journey with them. And again, I'm saying this with a giant asterisk of I missed a chunk in which a lot of these characters' backstories was explained. But even then, after that point, I was like, yeah, man, there's stuff that I'm very clear on was not set up during that part when I was asleep. So I do feel like I can criticize it some for that. but also when it gets to the end of this, a lot of people, I was trying to figure out like why so many of the people who were fans of the book and the previous films were mad at this one. And one of the things I heard someone say is it all comes really down to like the confrontation scene at the end, because this movie, you know, the detective, he's got OCD and he says, I see the way the world has to be, and that's it. Like, he is very much kind of a black and white kind of guy. But this was a guy who murdered a small child and then ruined like 10 other people's lives, and then they all came together and killed him because the courts couldn't get to him. And at the end of this, he says, okay, there's 2 explanations for this. Like, he sets up a big trial with all of them. And it's in the tunnel that the train just went through. The train had to stop because it got hit by an avalanche.
Yeah, I saw that in the trailer,
so yeah,
too.
It's been like multiple days with them unable to move this train, just stuck there. And he takes them...
Was the avalanche planned too?
No, that was totally...
Okay, because it's like, oh, we need...
That would be way too...
Like, I thought like maybe like they hired someone to like put up dynamite, so they have time to like you know, kill the mobster and everything. Okay.
Not unless that was another part I missed during that 15 minutes. But like the ending of this, they had just gone out of town, so they go into the tunnel. They set up a giant long table, and they have everybody sitting at the table. And all I could think while looking at that was, it really feels like they're trying to set up a Last Supper picture, because it really looks like the Last Supper. And I was like, this, again, it feels like Kenneth Branagh kind of wanking off here a little bit. Like, look at how artsy I can be with this. Like, nah, you went a step too far in this one, brother. But the thing that I've heard many people upset about is that apparently in the novel and the previous films, basically what the detective does is, this is a guy who's like, nope, right is right, wrong is wrong, that's it, so I'm going to have to send you all to jail. But in the previous ones, he basically said like, okay, there is such a thing as justice, this was your justice, so either all of you came together and committed this crime, or some mysterious person broke into the train, murdered him, and then escaped, and we weren't able to catch him. I know which version I'm going to tell the cops, and that was kind of like it. In this one, he sets up a big thing, kind of confronts them all, goes down it, and then he like places his gun there on the table, like, all right, now I need to know which one of you truly is a murderer. Which one of you truly was willing to do it? If I go to the police, I'm going to tell them my version of the story. I'm going to tell them exactly what happened. So which one of you is really a murderer? The only way to stop you from all going to jail is for one of you to kill me right now. And then Michelle Pfeiffer grabs it, she points at him, and then she like goes, I can't, and she points it at herself.
Oh, wow.
And then she pulls the trigger and just goes click, 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 click. And it's like, so basically he set it up so that it's like, who can I like place the blame on? Who's the one person I can say like was responsible for all of this? And then even then, so he made sure not put bullets in there, but like the one, but then at the end she tried it on herself instead of taking him out. And I was like, okay, well, I found that to be pretty intense. But if you're like somebody who enjoyed the previous versions, I can see how this is just like a crazy, insane, amp it up to 11.
Yeah.
Like, it loses all the subtlety and intellectualism of like the previous version. But it still ends very positively with he has to report to the police while all of them are still there on the train after it like arrives at civilization. He then comes walking past all of them on the train. They're all just sitting there looking at him like, what's going to happen to us now? And then he stops and he goes, he basically gives the speech that I just gave a second ago about, like, he realizes there's such a thing, that justice in this world takes on many forms, and sometimes justice isn't always doled out by the police or the courts and all this. And he
So basically that scene with the gun was unnecessary.
Very much so. Again, I didn't have a problem with it, but I can now understand why people who are fans of the original did have a total problem with that. Because yeah, it's not in the tone of the original at all either. But basically he kind of like says, yeah, I just lied to the police for you guys. I just told them that was some unnamed person, we don't know who it was. He jumped off the train and that was it. So you're all free to go, because justice has been served in whatever way it has. So I kind of dug that, because this is a guy who, yeah, he has to have it the correct way. And this was him kind of learning there isn't always a correct way. So I actually really enjoyed that. So in the end, I did like this. It's just kind of drags, and they don't give each character enough time, and half the characters aren't as memorable as the other half. And they aren't really able to take you on that step-by-step journey of the murder mystery that you really need to be able to. He is 10 steps ahead of all the other characters, but even then he's 5 steps ahead of the audience. So it's like, wait, what? I'm sorry, hold on, wait now? What's happening now? So, you know, you as the audience, I feel like even if you stay awake throughout all this, you're still gonna be playing a little bit of catch up. But at the same time, the characters who you do like in here are really darn good, and the main character himself, as much of an ego trip as this was for Kenneth Branagh, he kind of earned it because he's really freaking good in this role, and his character is amazing. I love his character in here. Like, he is the thing that gets you through this film and makes you actually come out pretty positive on it. And the murder mystery itself is actually pretty intriguing when they're able to, like, take you along with it. It is kind of weird that, like, it starts off just as, okay, he's a mob boss, and then it just turned into, like, a Lindbergh baby situation there for a second. It's like, wait, what's this about a tiny child? Hold on now. But yeah, at the same time, you know.
Was it the same kid that he made go get all those eggs in the market?
No. That was a different person.
Because it's like, oh, everyone's connected to this kid. Maybe the detective's connected to him too.
No, there's actually, it is kind of like cool, like looking at this, because like I said, he's friends with the guy who runs the railroad.
Right.
And he had to get back to England that night for like an important mission. He's like, all right, fine, can you get me a seat on this train? And he was like, well, first class is fully booked up, second class is fully booked up. There's only one spot still left in coach, and you got to share with this guy. So I was like, okay, it's actually a pretty darn good explanation for why he then like found himself in this spot, like why everything was orchestrated so well to like these people spent years working on this plan, and then he is that one monkey wrench that gets thrown there. Like, man, this is a really darn good setup. So yeah, there's many things that I like about this, but at the same time, I feel like many things that I like about this are in every other version of this. You don't specifically have to watch this version. The only thing about this version that I can really point at and go, you know what, even without having seen the other versions, I feel like a defining thing of this version is Kenneth Branagh as the detective. But also, this film is shot really damn well. I have not pointed that out. The thing, because I'm kind of going back and forth on like the positives and negatives, but I think the thing that really like puts it over into the positives category is that this is just a darn well shot film. The angles that they use really kind of even look like old Hollywood style cinematography, except with like new filmmaking crispness to it. Like a lot of the cities and the mountains that they're in, well obviously the mountains, but a lot of the cities that they're in are all CGI, but they look really darn good. Like they look like you buy it, but they are able to use that CGI to like shoot at them in a way that you know you couldn't get an actual camera in there. And they shoot them kind of the way that you would shoot old sets in like old Hollywood. Like when the train is pulling out of there, like it looks like the way they used to shoot old trains. Like they captured that feeling of like 1930s, 1940s filmmaking. So yeah, that's absolutely something that I applaud this film for. So in the end, it's more positive than negative. I don't know if I could tell everyone to go out there and see it because as I said, man, I could not hold on to this, and it would be one thing if it was just me, but because it was so many other people in that theater, yeah, I feel like I need to warn people it might happen to you too.
Yeah.
But I saw other people in this theater who really dug it. I saw some people who did not. I saw some people get up and they were mad at the end of this, but there were other people who were like discussing this even after the credits were done rolling. So, you know, I feel like I don't think anyone's going to love this. I don't think anyone is going to hate it. I think everybody is just going to be like, whatever, or, oh, okay, I enjoy that. And I think I'm coming down in that territory. In fact, I am actually, when this comes on Netflix, because I'm pretty sure it will, I'm interested in going back and watching it again.
Yeah, you can sleep at home.
Yeah. I feel so bad for the lady who was sitting next to me, because there came a moment in which I had my leg crossed, and like, it was the moment in which I woke up in which I felt something on my foot, and then I look and I see I'm like I was pushing into her. I was like, oh, I'm an asshole. I'm the worst human alive. Oh, God. Because like I said, it'd be one thing if that theater was empty. It was jam-packed full of old people and art snobs. And me. Although there were a fair number of hipsters there too, so I kind of fit in.
They're all doing reviews for their YouTube channels. Yeah.
Oh God, I have had that thought before. When we go and see a real shitty film and no one is there but like 2 other people, I have had that thought of, are they there for their channels? Are they doing this too? Oh my goodness. Okay. So yes. Actually, I don't know how many other film critics like live in New York. They're mostly out in like Illinois, which is really odd. Illinois and LA. LA makes sense, but you'd think there'd be more in New York. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. And if you guys enjoy these post-Geekout reactions, come back for one in which I saw the entire film. We're typically a lot more passionate on these simply because I don't have to keep tiptoeing around everything I'm saying. It's like, well, it was probably explained during that part and I'm an asshole for missing it. God, I'm so stupid. But as I said, if you enjoy the reviews where I talk about really bad films, I got 2 of them in the chamber just waiting. So make sure that you hit subscribe and come back next time. And as always, you can follow me on Twitter, Twitch, and Tumblr at Professor Thorgy. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Go get some sleep. Bye.
Bye.
No, this is the title card. This is the title card right here.